Guys, what's going on? We're back again, and in this video I want to show you exactly how I know when it's time to sell my players on Football Index. So let's not waste any time and let's jump straight onto the platform. And as I said, this is a brand new series dedicated just for Football Index, so if you've got any questions or topics you want me to cover, drop them in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get onto those as soon as possible. So as I said, in this video I'm just going to detail some of the strategies I use when it comes to understanding when to sell my players. There's about 2 or 3 strategies I use, and we're just going to go through some of those now. So the first strategy I use is what I like to call creating a narrative, i.e. creating a story. So for me to buy a player, there has to be a story in my head of why I'm buying the player. He has to kind of go on that journey, and once in my head I believe the story has been completed, that's when I would then sell the player. So a great example of this is Mr. Jack Grealish. I'm an Aston Villa fan, have been all my life, from Birmingham, as you probably tell by the accent. And Jack Grealish was one of my first purchases when coming to the Index back last March. So you can see I got him at a pretty good price. I'm sure I jumped on around the 140-ish mark. So just figuring out what the platform's all about, bought a couple of Jack Grealish. His price obviously rised, bought a few more, so our price average rose with that. He then dropped off last season when he was in the Championship a little bit. I think around the time he got injured, just before we obviously went to Wembley and came up through the playoffs. But during that time, he kind of levelled out and didn't really rise or drop. But I was making about a 10 quid loss on Jack Grealish. And just my knowledge of the player, I know that he was underrated at the time. Obviously, this season people know what he's about and they know he's a great player. And that's why I kept on to Jack Grealish throughout the loss, because I created that story in my head, knowing that he would go into the Premier League, knowing what his actual value is worth, knowing that even if when we did get to the Premier League, as we did, if we had a bad season and went down, it would probably be the time that Jack would leave the club, or vice versa. If we stayed up, we'd probably be going anyway, which is what's probably going to happen at the end of the season. Plus an England call up, I'm taking all of this into account when I'm thinking about, do I sell him at a loss or am I keeping him? So obviously this is where it's that kind of creating a narrative is paid off, and his price is rising. And I will hold on to him all the way to the end of the season, and I will review my status and investment in Jack Grealish once I know where he's going to, if he's going to Man United or Barcelona, and if he goes to the Euros. Those will be key parts of when I will kind of look to assess if I want to retain or I want to just get rid of Jack. So another good example, a player that I've just actually got rid of in my port, Mason Mount. Absolutely brilliant player for his age. He's 21, and if you watch the Championship or you're just a football lover, you would have seen him last year tearing it up for Derby County. So I got on him after seeing a few performances, obviously new to the platform, and I think I got him under the 140 mark. I had about 40 up until the other day, and can't really fault him. He's a great player. He had a great season, as you can see. The more people kind of identified him as a great player, the more he rose. He went back to Chelsea. We identified that he signed a new contract. He got into the England team, and his price was pretty high for what he's worth, I believe. So as the Chelsea performances kind of started to take a dip, so is his price. And obviously they've just bought the Ajax attacking midfielder Ziyech. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong, but I believe that the depreciation in Mason Mount's price is actually falling to what his true value is worth. I don't believe that he might shoot up. Obviously he scores goals and the IPD and whatnot, and if he scores a crack, he'll get that media buzz. But I think he's actually leveling out to his true value. He hasn't got that new kid on the block hype, and his performances with Chelsea are kind of been a bit average this season. And as I said, next season he's got that added competition. So I believe around 260. I believe he might even fall to about 240 before he kind of levels out as to what his true value is. So I actually jumped off the Mason Mount train this week with a £4 profit. Take it or leave it, it's a profit, so I can't really be mad at that, really, can I? I think another great example would be Christian Pulisic. So as you can see, I've got 80 Christian Pulisic at the moment. I'm making a £5.60 loss, and actually, do you know what? I'm going to top up on him at the moment, and let me just do that and I will tell you why afterwards. So I've got 80 at the moment. I'm going to top up I want 20. Nah, let's just stick for 10 for now. And the reason I'm topping up on Christian Pulisic, even though I'm making a loss on him, is because he's injured. And let's just scroll down just to verify that I've actually topped up. There we go. And I'm making a £5.40 loss, as I just said. And the reason why I'm topping up at the moment is because, as you can see from the chart, he didn't really start off the season very well, and obviously there was a lot of anticipation when he first started playing. Didn't really get the performances he wanted. I think Frank Lampard left him out of the squad for quite a while. Not by any fault of his own, but he did play a lot of games in. I think it was Copa America, so he didn't really have a pre-season break. Pre-season fitness or even a break before pre-season. So Frank did kind of ease off him a little bit and started to use him a lot in October in the group stages and in the Premier League. I believe he scored a hat-trick against Burnley and got a couple of goals or a goal against Ajax, and his price just shot up straight away. Went through peaks and troughs and then it dipped off majorly when he got injured, and it's just tumbled ever since. Now I know that once he gets announced in a squad on a bench, his price is going to shoot back up, and I'm actually going to do a video when it does do that. And this is just another example of creating a story around your player. So you know that Christian Pulisic hasn't even shown you half of what he can do for Chelsea at the moment, and his price has dropped because he's injured. So I believe the best time to invest in him is now. I'm not pumping. You can see for yourself, he's a well-known player now anyway. But as soon as he's £2.30 at the moment, £2.29, as soon as he gets back into the Chelsea squad, starts scoring a lot of goals, his price will rocket back up, and I'm hoping he will get to the £3 mark before the end of the season. So another reason when I know it's time to sell would be when my player has reached his intrinsic value. And what I mean by intrinsic value, I mean when we understand we're buying a player at a very cheap price, and kind of similar to you when you're telling a story, which I spoke about Mason Mount, we kind of understand that the player has kind of reaching his ceiling, or he might be on his way back down, he might have a few difficult games. An example of this would be me purchasing Reece James. I'm actually just put up some of Reece James for sale, but I actually got onto the player at about 66p last season when he was playing for Wigan in the Championship. And the more I've invested, as I can see, he's rising. I didn't think he would be in the Chelsea team for this season, but he obviously was, and he signed a new contract, so I've bought more of him. And I can see that he's kind of leveling out as well, kind of similar to Mason Mount, but I see him still getting some good PB scores potentially in the future. So I'm selling a little bit of Reece James because I'm making a 200% profit on him at the moment. And obviously buying and selling is about not being greedy and understanding when you're making a profit to get out whilst you can. And that is the reason why I'm selling a little bit of Reece James here. Another great example of when to sell is a player I rate really highly. He plays in the Turkish League at the moment, left or right wing, and also can play up front, is Yunus. I've got 20 of him at the moment. I did have a bit more. I am making a loss on him at the moment, and I really hate to sell players whilst I'm making a loss. You need to understand as well as the story, but how quick are you looking to make a return on your investment? I've got £14 in, it's dropped to 12. Not a lot of money at the moment, but that money could potentially see better growth somewhere else. For instance, if I wanted to take out money out of Eunice and put him into Jonathan David, who's completely buzzing at the moment, and try and capitalise on some more growth. And the main reason for this is because Eunice is currently with the youth team. Next season might be his breakout season, so holding money into him this season when he's not really going to play any first team games might be something that you would want to consider if you're in a similar position to me. Also, for instance, with a player like Adam Lewis, who's Liverpool's third or second choice left back. He's a really good player, really good youth team player. He's come back from an injury. He played in the FA Cup recently, which saw a little bit of a price rise. But he's not going to make it into the Liverpool squad this season at all. He might feature in pre-season. So for me, I might want to quit while I'm ahead and sell my profits here and put them into some more Jack Grealish or some Jan Arp, and maybe potentially reinvest in him before pre-season kicks off and get some more profit that way. Guys, that's just a few examples of what I'm thinking of when it's time to buy or sell my players. If you've got any selling theories or selling strategies, please drop them in the comment section below and let's debate it. That's it from me for now. Be sure to tune in and give me a subscribe and follow the journey on my Football Index page. See you later.